Hey there, Barry.
Hi, Paul.
Barry Brown from the UK Luton based band Regeneration. They were a band that had a subtle yet significant influence on the music scene of the early 70s. Now, when I was in Luton, I visited a friend and he says, Paul, would you like to come to a Regeneration rehearsal?
Uh, right.
And I says, oh, I would really like that, yes. He says, well, come with me, I can get you in. So he took me to this hall, and there we watched the band Regeneration, which was made up of you, guitar vocals, Trub on drums, and Robin Childs on bass guitar. Now, my first question, Barry, is because the music was so good, what place did rehearsals have in Regeneration's output? How valuable were they? Did you have them often?
Yeah, we met, as I recall, every Friday night. We'd start about 8 o'clock and just keep going and going and going and until we were happy that we'd achieved something.
I remember at that particular rehearsal the passion that you put into the music and the flair. It wasn't as if you were rehearsing it. To me, it was like you were actually performing. So, did you get the structure of the songs in the rehearsal? Did you all play a part?
Yeah, I need just to backtrack a little bit on that because as a band, we got to a point where we realised that we were perhaps being called not to play in churches, but to go and play in the secular scene. And when we did that, the very first gig we played, we immediately found that our songs were hopeless. You know, they were just too corny Christian lyrics, and it was just embarrassing, really. So we decided just to write our own songs and try and pick up the flavour of the day in terms of the way that things are communicated and expressed. And in the practices, we work on that. They come with some ideas and lyric ideas and music ideas, and we just work on it to shape it and get it to something that we felt was presentable, that we could be proud of, in fact. And so that's what we did.
Great. Yeah, I could see that the music was worked upon without any shadow of a doubt. There was a polish to it. In fact, the rehearsal that I went to was for a gig at the Royal Albert Hall, and you had to rearrange some of the songs due to time constraints. What was it like playing at the? How did the Royal Albert Hall compare to a regular venue?
Well, I must admit, we never ever expected to play at a venue like that, and the event was the Methodist Association of Youth Clubs annual concert, and they met in the Royal Albert Hall, and we had two packed houses that day that we played at. We came on stage with fear and trepidation. You know, we were on hallowed ground, I suppose, there, and expectations from everybody were enormously high. And so we were shaking in our boots, really, and we certainly needed a word of prayer or two before we came on. But it was a great time. But it started off with a little bit of a disaster because we'd set up our own PA, which was quite a big PA, and the mixer had been put somewhere to the side in where the people were watching. And just as we started, somebody walked by the mixer desk and actually knocked the plug out the wall. So we had no vocals or anything like that, just our stage amplifiers, and we couldn't understand what on earth was happening. And we started off with an instrumental, which we called B flat blues, where Robin played harmonica and whatever. And so because there were no vocals to that, we kind of got away with it until the plug went back in the wall.
That's a great story. Yeah. So one of the things I remember, because I did see Regeneration play not too long after that,
Oh,
and I remember it was in Harpenden, and how relaxed the band were, and how friendly you particularly were with the audience. And I thought, I need to do that because Barry seems so relaxed. He's not tense at all. He's just friendly to the audience. And I thought, I've got to be like that when I do gigs.
oh, it's nice of you to say. Yeah, was it a coffee bar that we were?
No, it was a hall, and I was actually in the support band that day.
Oh, wait, that's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Was it in the Methodist church?
Yes, the hall, at the
That hall,
back.
it
Yeah,
was their coffee bar at the back of it. We called it. Yeah,
yeah.
I
And
remember that. I do
we,
remember that.
we
Yeah.
shared the dressing room, and I remember Robin asking if it was okay to use the picture of Charles Wesley because he could see a reflection of himself. He says, "Is it okay for me to comb my hair in the Charles Wesley photo picture?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice, relaxed evening. I remember that. Now, recently, I drove past the Dagenham Roundhouse that used to be
Mm.
a regular venue for Regeneration to play in. Now, the venue was known for hosting top-tier rock bands, on their way to fame and stardom. And yeah, Regeneration played there quite a lot. You were one of the regular bands there. So, how did you get to play at the Dagenham Roundhouse so often?
I think it was our second secular gig. We played with Groundhogs in Stevenage, Locarno. Anyway, and that went pretty well. But from that point, when we rang up an organiser or something, we could say we played with Groundhogs, and you can look it up, and so that gave us some street cred, as it were. People started saying yes when we rang them up. But that's how we got into the Dagenham Roundhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the Groundhogs did play at the Dagenham Roundhouse quite
Yeah,
often
right.
as well, yeah.
We played with
Yeah.
them twice, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's a good band. Blues kind of bass. Tony McPhee was the...
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
And the thing that we noted the very first time we played with them there was that they were three-piece and we were three-piece.
okay.
But he had got a guitar synthesizer, a Synthi Hi-Fi. And when we saw him the first time, we thought, we've got to get one of those.
Okay.
Got to get it. And so we did. And so when we played with the Dagenham Roundhouse, it was exactly the same lineup. Both got Synthi Hi-Flyers. But I think they sounded a bit better. So.
Okay. Well, I remember Robin telling me, I think it was Robin, that when you played at the Dagenham Roundhouse, you had a song called Master of the Storm.
Hmm?
And the lyrics are about the Lord Jesus when he stilled the storm, saying, "Peace be still." And Robin introduced the song by saying, "This is a song about him who can still the storm. And he stilled the storm in my life, and he can still the storm in your life."
That's right.
And then you went into the song. So I was wondering, was witnessing for Christ a regular part of the band's performances?
It was a regular part. It was the purpose. The only reason that we were there was to do that. There's a difference in the content of our songs, because the lyrics were definitely aimed to deliver a fairly sort of key and punchy message, if possible. And the Master of the Storm was one of those that's early song of ours where, we could reflect, the peace that God can give. But the other thing, and it particularly happened with a band called Budgie that we played with, and where Robin afterwards had a chat with the bass guitarist and witnessed to him, Burke Shelley, and Robin spoke to me a few times about the depth of that conversation. And it was just interesting decades later just to hear that Burke Shelley indeed gave his life to Christ. And Robin always felt that he'd been a link in that chain. And, it was amazing just to hear that, really, real encouragement. Other times, it was different, really. We played at the Marquee Club. At the end of our set, a guy came up and he said, "I'm a backslidden Christian, and I've been trying to get away from Jesus Christ, and so I came here, but I can't get away from it." He said, "I've been quite challenged again." So
that's great. Good story.
Yeah. Lots of things like that, really. That's
yeah. So the Lord has his place even in the darkened areas where sin abounds, grace does much more abound.
Yeah, I remember we played at the Alexander pub in the South End. And it went well, and we did our normal thing, and I suppose we didn't do anything extra. But at the end of it, a guy came up, and he said, "I've been really touched by what you've done tonight, and what you said, and what you sung." He said, "I've just come out of prison." He said, "I really don't know what to do in my life." He said, "Can I give my life to Jesus now?" We said, "Well, yeah." And we had a couple of other guys from the band. We gathered round, and we knelt down in that pub, and he gave his life to Jesus there and then. And John, his name was, and we put him in touch with the local church. Yeah. And after a while, I lost touch. But it was just we were surprised that what we were doing had that kind of challenge in it. But we were obviously really encouraged by it.
So, Barry, when I saw you, you were a three-piece, but I believe you had a keyboard player before I got to know the band. So, can you tell me about that, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess prior to about 1974, we had a keyboard player. That was Mo, and he was with us for a number of years. And during that time we played mostly at Christian venues. You might remember the late 60s and into the 70s. It was what we called the church coffee bar era, and lots of churches had coffee bars, and they'd have a Christian band come along and play. And we did loads of those all over the place. And Mo was the keyboard player, and at that point he had a lovely sort of split Hammond keyboard, lovely sound. And it was a mainstay of the band's music, and Mo was also a good singer as well, so it was good to have that. So when the time came that Mo felt he needed to leave the band, that was quite a loss for us. We felt like our right arm had been cut off because we loved to have him in the band, and he contributed so much. Because he was probably the only one amongst us that could actually read music and understood the structure of music properly. He was really good at that. Yeah. But I still see Mo, and he sometimes we play together perhaps at Christmas or something like that, in church service or whatever. But he's still playing keyboards better than ever.
So when Mo left, then it forced Regeneration to move off in a different direction, because that was when you started playing regular music venues. That's
right. Yeah, I think when Mo left, initially we thought, well, what are we going to do? The music's going to sound quite empty without keyboards there and extra vocal. And that's what. When we played this first gig with Groundhogs, and we saw the Synthi Hi-Fly, and it was a Synthi Hi-Fly, a good synthesizer that filled in a lot of the sound. Gave us a good overall sound, and so it didn't sound empty. It sounded quite different and unique in many respects for that time, because of the things that it could do. But we still miss Mo.
I do remember that you played at the very first Greenbelt Festival, because I was there in the audience, and I saw you play as fine set as I remember, with Robin making a few jokes on stage as well. So, what do you remember of the first Greenbelt Festival?
Where was it? Was it in north of Bedford?
It was in Suffolk.
Oh, Suffolk.
Yeah, yeah. It was in
Yes,
a farmer's field in
yes,
Suffolk.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I do remember that. Yeah, that's right. I think I think we played at a few others later on, but I think we were certainly pleased to be there because there was a collection of different Christian bands there doing all sorts of things. And my recollection's a bit dim of it, but other than it went well. And was the guy that ran it was Jonathan somebody, wasn't he? Do you remember?
Jonathan Cook.
Jonathan Cook. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
he
that
was.
was one of the jokes actually on stage that Robin changed his name around slightly
Oh, okay,
to
all
give it a criminal connotation.
right. Look, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. Well, I thought he was a good guy, and he got that started.
Yeah, 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 great. We were
Fantastic.
blessed, yeah. Now,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you did play at another festival which wasn't organised by Christians, it was a regular festival. And they're quite commonplace now, aren't they? Glastonbury Festival was just getting going at the same time. But you played at a festival, and I understand that it was, unbeknown to you at the time, an illegal festival.
Well, that well remembered. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the Windsor Open Music Festival, and yeah, well, somehow we got an invitation to go and play there, and it did actually become a bit of a catastrophe. We got there, and it was so large. So there were hundreds of thousands of people there, and we were directed towards one stage, a fairly high scaffolded stage, and there was a list of bands that were going to play, and just as we got there in the vans, the guy came up and he said we've got a problem. He said the stage PA has packed up, and he said we're looking for a band that can set their PA up, and all the bands will use it. And so we said, well, ours is reasonably, large. You should be able to do that. So we set up our PA. The first band that was going to play was called Jeremy and the Children. Have you heard of Jeremy and the Children?
Is it something to do with Jeremy Spencer?
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was an offshoot from Fleetwood Mac. That's it.
yeah.
And so they came on stage, and the moment they started playing and singing, we knew something was wrong electrically with the PA. It was just distorting, and it was partly because the generator at the back wasn't working properly, and no matter what we did, we couldn't fix it. Trubb was an electrician, and so he should have been able to fix it, but we just couldn't. And so the sound was very wasn't very loud, and it was distorted. And the crowd, after a while, began to lose patience with it, and they were started to throw things at the stage and at our gear, and it was going so badly. We actually thought it was better to get out of there, and so what we decided to do was let the band carry on playing, and bit by bit we'd take our equipment off the stage, and then leave. So actually, we didn't actually play. Probably a good reason why that actually happened to us, because we thought we couldn't understand why it had happened really. But we just left Jeremy and the Children singing into thin air, and the crowd shouting. But a few days later, I had a knock on the door of my house, and there was a policeman. And he said, I'll come round. He said, because I gather you're the leader of the band that played at Windsor Pop Festival, an illegal pop festival. And he said, I've got a summons in my hand for you to appear at court. And I said, well, I've got to tell you, we never played there. He said, we were there, but we never played. And that, in all honesty. And it took a little while, a week or two while he checked things, but we were in the clear. So
Wow. So you could see the Lord's hand there
yeah.
working. Yeah. and truth is the best policy.
Well, absolutely, yes, that's right.
Yeah, okay, great. Now, because Regeneration's music was so tight and nicely perfected, I remember there were some nice timing changes, like you'd put triplets in a turnaround and things like that.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing for me. I was only about 17 years old at the time, so it was a learning experience for me. But I wondered, did you ever have plans to record an album?
Yeah, we did. There's some plans that were shaping up with the Joseph Rank organisation to get funding for it, which was through Howard, who was our manager at the time. But at that, just as that was all taking shape, Trub announced to us one day that he really felt that he'd been called by the Lord to go on the mission field, and that he had joined Tear Fund. And probably within a month of him saying that to us, he was on a plane out to the Sudan, and where he remained really for years to come, and so that really forced us to finish as a band. And then Robin, in the light of that, he took a decision to join after the fire, and it left me on my own. So that's really what stopped recordings and other plans. And looking back on it, it was probably the right thing. Trub was truly called of the Lord to do what he did.
And Trub was a great drummer, truly good. Yeah. So it seems like there was a season in place there for the work of Regeneration.
Yes.
And were you the chief songwriter, Barry?
Yeah. I wrote most of the songs. Yeah.
Okay. I remember hearing a radio interview that you did. It could have been the BBC Radio London that we recently resurrected.
Yeah.
It could have been that one, but when I listened, it didn't register it. But at the time, I remember you saying that the presenter of the show was interested to hear more of your material, and he said, "Have you got more material that you're working on?" And you said, "Yes, we've got songs or song in the pipeline." So did those songs ever materialise, the later songs, because of the band splitting up? And
yeah, I think all of the material that we had written, we did at some point. That's right. There was nothing waiting to be performed at the time of the band closing down.
so you got to perform all the songs that you wrote for that time.
Right.
Okay. Now, Trub and Robin are both with the Lord now. And I was wondering, Barry, have you ever thought about giving those songs that Regeneration played an outing in a recording studio, maybe giving them a 2026 feel? Because there were some good songs there. And I know you played live on the radio, and they sounded good. And you thought, well, these songs need to be heard further afield. Have you ever thought of doing some Regeneration songs in the studio?
Yeah, I have thought of that, but it remains an aspiration to do that. Yeah, because there were some good songs. That's right.
Yeah,
it'd be a shame for them not to be heard.
Yes, and nowadays, you know, music's moved on. Of course, that's the great river of musical growth continues to widen, and it would be good, like, to give the music an updated sound. I know you're still writing songs, Barry.
Well, since all that time ago, yeah, I have written some. Yeah, but not so many these days. No, it's slowly.
Okay. Well, it's been really great talking to you. Thank you for sharing, and we can see that the hand of the Lord was on you all in those days, and you had an important part to play behind the scenes, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, in all sorts of ways, but certainly I've given you a few examples, but they, yeah, they were fruitful days. So it was good.
yeah. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, fruitful.
And I think it made us grow up as Christians as well, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. In what way did you grow up? Do you think?
Uh, well, obviously, we had to witness in some pretty tough situations. And in doing that, we had to be sure of our faith and how to communicate it in a compelling and honest way, and that our own lives in front of non-Christians needed to portray the love of Christ, really. And we certainly weren't perfect in every respect, but that we were conscious that we were the Lord's representatives in those places, and sometimes. Sometimes that was hard when there were strong challenges against it. And yeah, that's what I mean by we had to grow up.
Okay, Barry Brown from Regeneration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.